The Communist Party of China, the CPC, recognizes that the legitimacy of its leadership, in part, is based on its people-centric political philosophy, putting people's lives and livelihoods first and foremost. People-centric can sound generic, high-minded but hollow, devoid of specificity, even a cliché. So we should explore what China means by the term. People-centric means, broadly, improving the standards of living of all Chinese citizens. This is expressed by social services, especially healthcare and education, and the sustained anti-corruption campaign, and stresses eradication of extreme poverty and rapid containment of the COVID-19 pandemic. Since Xi Jinping became CPC General Secretary in 2012, he has repeatedly emphasized the people's desire for a better life is the goal we strive to realize. After tracking China's poverty alleviation campaign for over 4 years, I am disappointed that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I cannot witness in China in person its fulfillment at the end of 2020. I continue to engage with my Chinese colleagues in planning, structuring, and writing the episodes, but I entrust to them the interviews of experts and the telling of stories. What are the challenges of delivering people-centric results to match people-centric promises? And how is the whole of society mobilized to meet this goal? That's Closer to China.
Do you feel the pain on this side?
Yes, it's painful here, both here and there.
Stretch and flex your leg like this.
It's all right when I stretch it.
What about this hand? Raise it like this.
I cannot raise it further from here.
Nam So has had rheumatoid arthritis for about 8 years. In 2017, she and her husband relocated to Yangbajane, a town about 90 kilometers northwest of Lhasa, the Tibet Autonomous Region's capital. The next year, Nam So had an operation which helped her recover.
After the relocation, she could walk. She can walk slowly with someone supporting her after the surgery. She was crippled before and could barely stand. The medical and other conditions are better here compared with our hometown.
Last year, we explored to play the role of Tibetan medicine and admitted her to our research program. Starting from December the 24th, 2018, we offered her and other patients the medicine at the rehabilitation center. The observation lasted for 3 months. After that, her rheumatoid factors were completely transferred. The results were pretty good. She can sustain her health condition by taking the Tibetan medicine without having any hormone.
Due to high altitude and severe climate conditions, the Tibet Plateau is an area where rheumatoid arthritis commonly occurs.
After screening, altogether over 170 people suffering from rheumatism and rheumatoid arthritis. We created health profiles for all these patients. Gradually, we have roughly 200 patients receiving treatment.
Yangbajane is famous for its hot springs field, which is said to facilitate rheumatism treatment. Nam So and Lodan relocated here, but as the husband has to take care of his wife, the family's income is limited.
After I fell ill, I cannot manage my eating, drinking, toileting, and all other stuff. My husband takes care of my life.
My child is with my relatives in the hometown to look after livestock and herd the sheep. The pasture subsidy for 3 of us is 13,000 yuan in total annually. My child and I are forest rangers and have an annual income of 7,000 yuan. She's living with disabilities, which is subsidized 3,600 yuan per annum. The state subsistence allowances raised to 1,400 yuan per quarter. For me, I cannot go to work to earn money, since I have to take care of my wife at home.
To Lodon's family, local industrial development, personal development, and health improvement are of equal importance with relocation and eco-compensation. Like other remote or ecologically fragile regions in China, poverty alleviation in Tibet requires comprehensive measures. What percentage of the remaining absolute poor in China are poor because of healthcare issues?
It's a rather large percentage. Among factors leading to poverty, healthcare issues are at the top. According to 2015 data from the State Council Leading Group's Office of Poverty Alleviation and Development, 44% of households in China were reduced to poverty due to healthcare issues. Other factors take up far less a percentage. Over 10% of registered poor suffer from chronic diseases, and less than 10% suffer from major illnesses.
In China, we have targeted poverty alleviation. Its purpose is to offer tailored solutions to lift people out of poverty. For people with healthcare issues, undoubtedly, we need to help them with treatment in the first place to restore health or to contain the development of chronic illness. For people who have slipped back to poverty due to illness, we must address their health issues before anything else. Health issues trump capacity training, industry development, and employment opportunities.
Our crew went to a remote Tibetan region where people are treated for illness at the primary healthcare level. Why is this central to poverty reduction in certain regions? How are different policies coordinated?
Short and long-term approaches must be applied to address the issue. In the short term, we aim to reduce medical expenditures for poor households, since they cannot afford medical bills or bear debt burdens. Then, there's the accessibility issue. Cash-strapped people will sometimes simply give up treatment, which only worsens their health, leading to long-term negative implications. So, from a long-term perspective, treatment must be made accessible to help the poor restore their health, or else maintain basic good health with proper treatment for all illnesses.
John Won greets our students at the school gate every morning, giving them high fives and hugs. A teacher from Guangzhou, one of China's most developed cities, John came to Nanyong County in 2018 to support local education. Her empathy and thoughtfulness have earned her a new title, Principal Mom.
It's a sacred title. Whenever the children call me mom, I feel a greater sense of responsibility. I tell myself I have to do more to live up to their expectations.
Nanyong is one of the last counties to be lifted out of poverty. With assistance from Guangzhou, its education has made great progress in recent years. With an investment of about $6 million, this modern school started to enroll children relocated from remote villages in June 2020. And John was assigned as the school's first principal. Besides John, additional teachers from Guangzhou are also sharing their advanced teaching philosophy and methods here.
The children here are smart. Their level of learning will improve once the teaching methods change. I don't mean that local teachers are not qualified, but in view of the tough circumstances, they need to be guided and further inspired.
How are people from advanced regions mobilized to help those in poor regions? How to coordinate across regions? What are some examples?
A major component of our battle against poverty is East-West cooperation pairings. That is, pairing of cooperation between China's more developed eastern regions and less developed western regions, under the guidance of the central government. This involves industrial cooperation, human resource exchanges, financial assistance, and tapping into the potential of the western region's rich labor force. Each year, the central government evaluates the performance of the pairing cooperation.
About 20 years ago, Chinese government started saying, now it is time for us to let rich region help the poor region. So we have this poverty assistance program, model program. And at the very beginning, just give money or give a little resource, because this rich area is not rich enough. And at the very beginning, there's still a learning process. But this system becomes strong, and more. Give you an example, Beijing municipal government. And they have to help Xinjiang, Tibet, and not the whole Xinjiang, a certain in Hetian area. This is what we call in the middle of a desert area. Tibetan is a Lhasa city, so this is responsible by Beijing. And also they help to help Hubei province, Henan province. Why? Because this province, Beijing water come from this what we call the transfer water from south to north. And this water passed Henan, Hubei, everywhere. Those people suffered because they have to protect the land, protect the water quality. Altogether, Beijing have to help around 40 to 50 counties. Not the whole Beijing. Beijing have a different districts. For each district, they have to help specific other counties. They have all really one-to-one matching. So Beijing, every year in their budget, they have to locate certain amount of money to transfer to those places. Beijing is the hospital. They have to, every year they have to send some doctors, nurse to those places. Beijing's teachers, educations, you have to send. And Beijing industry, you have to have some factories working this, or you have to buy some raw material from that place.
A so-called classroom in the sky brought middle schooler Zhang Hao across the ocean to meet different native English speakers.
Since we are a remote country and we don't see foreign faces easily, I'm excited to have this kind of class. I can now have simple English conversations.
Zhang is a member of the Chinese Dong ethnic minority, living in Sungong, a county that saw its poverty rate of more than 30% drop to just 1% at the end of 2019. Thanks to online programs like this, many students in remote areas now have access to the same quality classes as peers in large cities. How important is telemedicine and teleeducation in alleviating extreme poverty? Looking to the future in improving relative poverty, how important is telemedicine and teleeducation in reducing inequalities across China, especially between urban and rural areas?
We have many these rural, low quality education. Now in rural area, go to school, no problem. Compulsory school, no problem. Every kid can go to a 9-year education. But nowadays problem is quality of education. Because in rural school, they do not have a high quality teacher, so the quality of education not high. When you quality elementary school not high, when they go to junior high school, they are still among those not getting a good result. They cannot go to senior high school because we have an exam. You cannot go to college because entry exam. So they remain poor. But how can you improve the quality of rural education? The inequality of education is always there, not only in China, globally. Now we try to use the internet, because China's internet is relatively advanced. So each school, government already put a lot of money. Each school already hooked to the internet, broadband already, and all those classroom have one screen. Now we introduced what we call the double teacher program. We starting 6 years ago. We're doing the piloting, and one of the best school in Beijing called the Renda Fuzhong, right? every day we go to Yindafuzhong, we use a camera to record their course. We put it in internet. And these villagers, the teacher, villagers teacher, they watch from internet and doing the cutting paste. Next day in the classroom, they use projectors and show Yindafuzhong's the high quality, good quality lectures. And the students directly learn from the best school in Beijing. And we try this for 20 provinces, 200 schools, and all the schools that increased dramatically. The kids every day they watch the best school in Beijing, and they become very active in the class, so they improve substantially.
Several problems still exist, of course. Online teaching materials are not all-inclusive. For example, Beijing No. 4 High School is one of Beijing's top-tier high schools. Teaching materials from this school do not cover all courses. Another issue is that internet connections sometimes fail in remote areas. It's also all about facilities. More importantly, not all teachers can master the use of an electronic whiteboard or give full play to modern tools and approaches. There's still room for improvement.
How important is telemedicine and teleeducation in reducing inequalities across China, especially between urban and rural areas?
Could the power of technology alleviate relative poverty? I believe it is a global problem. Technology itself doesn't discriminate, but not everyone can benefit from it equally. For poor households who are illiterate or unable to work, technology only has a limited benefit. Even though everyone can gain from technological progress, I'm not sure whether or not it can reduce relative poverty or if it widens the income gap.
我觉得这个问题我不能给出答案。这就是我的世界：雪山、草原、冰川、寺庙、白塔，我的朋友们。
Tenzin, whose name in Chinese is Dingjun, took the internet by storm after a photographer posted a video of him on Douyin, a domestic version of the TikTok short video platform.
我是丁真，欢迎大家来我的家乡做客，四川人。
This boy has now become the official tourism ambassador of Litang, his hometown county, which was just lifted out of poverty in February 2020. It is not the first time that a poverty-stricken county's online promotion has gone viral. Peasants and grassroots officials are using live streaming and short video platforms to open up markets for locally produced agricultural goods. The boost in e-commerce is closely linked to infrastructure building. By June 2020, nearly 97% of all villages in China were covered by express delivery service outlets, and all 832 poverty-stricken counties had established their own digital business service centers. The internet enables farmers to reach potential customers all across China, even thousands of kilometers away.
随着我们这个互联网的发展，
Agricultural produce in impoverished regions can now reach more customers thanks to internet development, which has facilitated supply and demand with accessible information. That said, there's room for improvement, like with logistics systems. For orders received on the internet, can you deliver the products to customers promptly? There is a demand for strong logistic capacity for poverty-stricken areas.
保障能力就提出了新的要求。
Zhang Fang is a 55-year-old farmer in Lijiaping village, Luoyang County. Her main source of income is livestock farming.
I have been raising chickens for decades. Now the policy is good, and I raise hundreds of chickens at a time.
In Li Jiaping village, there are 20 households like Zhang Fang's, raising 7,500 chickens. They started from zero and have now turned the chicken-raising business into an effective tool to escape poverty with the help of the large-scale local producer, Chinmai Agriculture Development.
Farmers still have three worries in breeding. One is risk, the second is epidemics, and the third is sales.
To solve the problems of individual chicken farmers, Chinmai Agriculture Development implements what it calls the 2+5 ecological breeding mode. The cooperative breeds chickens for 2 months before handing them over to the farmers, who then raise them for another 5 months and sell them back to the cooperative at higher prices.
The price of chickens has risen in recent years, and annual income will surely continue to rise in the future. All in all, we create wealth all by our hands.
The Luoyang black chicken breeding industry is now expanding its scale, steadily helping more farmers work their way out of poverty. What role does business or industry play in poverty alleviation? Should it be their burden? What benefits can business get?
Revenue for poverty-stricken areas and the poor mainly comes from two sources. One is self-developed industry. It has to continuously grow to bring ever-increasing revenue. Second, it's joining a workforce or earning a salary. Salaries rise as capabilities improve, which sustain the poverty alleviation process. We cannot achieve this goal without the participation of market entities.
In recent years, quite a few enterprises have developed industries in poor regions with government guidance. This has been, in fact, also motivated by preferential policies. Enterprises can access loans, go public more easily, or enjoy other favorable perks if they invest in industrial programs in impoverished areas. At the same time, enterprises operating in poor regions or employing resources there can help extend the local industrial chain. Poor households can get higher returns by leasing their land to enterprises. More importantly, more job opportunities are provided for poor households. Sometimes there's also tax income for local governments. Overall, it is fair to say that even if it benefits the poor areas and households, the participation of enterprises is mainly profit-driven.
All enterprises, major ones in particular, shoulder social responsibility. Many enterprises are making donations to build roads, schools, or set up funds. While the growth of industry follows market principles, what we need to focus on is enterprise motivation. Under a perfect market mechanism, enterprises, cooperatives, or even qualified investors will want to cooperate with those who are capable, since it is more efficient. Unfortunately, it takes policy support and motivation for them to cooperate with poor households. We are consolidating all resources to achieve the best results for everyone.
How do you evaluate respective roles of the market and the government in poverty alleviation?
From an economic perspective, poverty alleviation is about offering quasi-public goods. It has both attributes of public goods and non-public goods. As for public service infrastructure, it must be provided by governments. Only with adequate infrastructure can we lower the transaction costs of poverty relief.
The government has invested little in poverty alleviation since 1986. Hundreds of millions of farmers escaped poverty by themselves, by working for local enterprises or engaging in the local market economy, by selling agricultural produce or setting up small enterprises. Since we initiated the fight against poverty, the relationship between government and market has seen some adjustment, with more power shifting to the government. As for the relationship between market and government, I believe there are two different scenarios. One is one in which the government champions industrial poverty relief programs, builds infrastructure, and improves public services, etc. In the other, the government acts as an information provider with the direct market or social organization participation. That is, local governments release demands on industrial poverty alleviation or social programs via the internet or other information channels to facilitate connections between capable markets, social organizations, and relevant authorities.
Consolidating resources under market mechanisms does no harm to enterprises. Enterprises need to offer favorable treatments to poor households or they will be neglected due to lack of competitiveness. That said, market principles play a dominant role. For example, salaries in proportion to workload. Thus, enterprises and other economic entities are not harmed, but instead supported. It is a viable way for poor households to catch up. China's poverty alleviation is led by the government, with participation of all social entities, which includes the market entities. It does not work without market participation. Governments need to mobilize all resources to upgrade poverty alleviation systems and mechanisms. That is very important. On the other hand, we cannot win the battle against poverty simply by relying on the governments.
To pursue poverty alleviation today means to focus on healthcare. As poverty alleviation has progressed, the percentage of rural citizens who are poor due to infirmity and illness has naturally increased. Moreover, health has become the primary reason why some people, having been brought out of poverty, may fall back into poverty. For this reason, China is focusing on rural healthcare. A core feature of poverty eradication is East-West cooperation between more and less developed regions. This is especially true in healthcare where, say, first-rate hospitals in major cities like Shanghai partner with local hospitals in impoverished areas. Doctors are exchanged in both directions to teach and to learn. Telemedicine is a change maker. One of the ways that China enabled poverty alleviation on a mass national scale is to engage people from all walks of life: civil servants, business owners, teachers, doctors. China's single-party-led, top-down system of governance enables mega projects that need long-term consistency to have long-term consistency. Poverty alleviation, a prime example. All political systems have trade-offs, and the same system that eradicated extreme poverty can also motivate local officials to please their superiors to whom they report more than to help the people for whom they are responsible. How to avoid this mismanagement of priorities? We explore next week on Closer to China.